Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about the new banner for Sephiroth and Glenn. This banner only has one costume, and it's a costume for Sephiroth. It is a water Arcanum, so Arcanums are, you can almost never go wrong with pulling for an Arcanum. So this one's 35% water damage, and the second ability is a buff debuff extension. 10 points, so that gets you level 2. Your buffs and debuffs last 40% longer, and it gets you close to level 3. Like you just need 5 more points to get 80% longer. I think this talk I think this costume is good, not great, and not bad. It's good because of the water Arcanum. That's always good, like I said. Um, it is not bad and not great because of this buff debuff extension. So I mean this one is okay, but the really good Arcanums have a stat that you can always use. Like we'll look at right now Tifa's has something you can always use. In the crossover banner, Tifa has one. Let's look at that. Hers is Arcanum also, but she has boost magic ability potency, which is always good. It always will increase her magic damage. Um, and then we look at Sephiroth's costume, it's sometimes good. Like buff debuff extend duration is sometimes good. You're gonna Sephiroth needs to, in order for him to take use of it, he needs a buff debuff weapon. And let's look at his buff debuff weapons. He has some. He has Shinra Military Sword, which buffs his physical attack. Um, and also his wind potency. If you want to use him for, if you didn't pull the wind costume, you can actually use his water Arcanum for his wind setup, and it could work. But yeah, this is buffing his physical attack, so you can also use this weapon on his water Arcanum. He has Radiant Edge, which reduces physical defense, reduces fire resist. If you want, you can use same deal. You can use this weapon with that costume for both fire and water. So if you use Radiant Edge for the water build, it's just for the physical defense down. If you use the costume with for the fire build, it's just for the buff debuff extension. So there's some uses there. Sephiroth has Nameless, which I don't see it being used, but you can. It's because it's magic defense low, or mid to low. At OB6, it's mid. Yeah, you can use this in a magic build. If you're using a budget edged wings build, you can use the costume there. But really, you can see that the uses are not that great, right? You're only getting half the use of the buff debuff extension. Like for example, for Shinra Military Sword, you're only getting half use. I mean, you only care about the physical attack if you're using a water build, or if you're doing a wind build, then for his costume, you only care about the buff debuff extension. You don't care about the water Arcanum, right? Same with his Radiant Edge. If you're doing a water build, you only care about the physical defense down. You don't care about the fire resist down. And then same thing, if you're doing a fire build, then you don't care about the water Arcanum. And then same if you're gonna do like an edged wings build with Nameless, then you don't care about the water Arcanum on his costume, right? And then you can also do edged wings with Anibi, boost your magic attack, but again, you don't care about the water Arcanum part. Um, Northern Lights, and also his Kuja blade from FF9 limited banner, if you have that. Um, that works well with his Water Arcanum. I mean, the buff debuff extension will increase that. Um, and then you have Mithril type O Katana, and he also has a. I mean, this buffs physical defense, and he also has a. It was a free event weapon. Where is it? A free event weapon that also boosts this one. If you have Torn Wing, this boosts physical defense for one person, so that could be good. Let's continue. I think that's it. Let's see. It's the last one. Yeah, that's it. So it has some uses, the buff debuff extension, but most of the time you're only getting you're not getting a whole lot of value from the buff debuff extension. You're getting some value, whereas if you had I'm just comparing to Tifa's Arcanum. Tifa's Arcanum is way better. It's always good. Boost magic ability potency is always good. It doesn't matter what she's using, right? She's always going to be getting value. Her Curing Girl is always going to be getting value from boost magic ability potency. Yeah. Okay, so with the costume, it is good. Like I said, it's good, not great. Okay, because this is really good and this is only kind of good. Let's take a look at the weapon. So the weapon is I like to look at OB6 because that's a good place you want most weapons to be. OB10 is nice, but yeah, OB6 is just most cost effective. So the weapon does 620 physical water damage at OB6. That's pretty good. You can compare it to other water weapons, like I think I have all. Yeah, let's look at other water weapons. So Sephiroth does 620 at OB6. Compare it to, this is limited, but Glenn does 740, so it is obviously stronger, but this is a limited weapon. You can only pull it on the half anniversary banner. You have Cloud's Maritime Sword, which also does 620, so they do the same damage, 620, 620. And then you have Lycia's Serpent Eater, which does 660, a little bit more. But Lycia's Serpent Eater has boost HP, while Sephiroth's weapon has boost physical attack. But they're close. Just in terms of weapons, they're close. Okay. So just looking at the potency, it is the worst one, right? Because I mean, tied with Maritime, they are the lowest lowest potency at OB6. But it does something else, right? So let's look. When you're above 50% HP, it also decreases water resist, high potency. Okay, this is pretty strong. Reducing water resist by high. So if you want to compare it to the other physical water weapons. Let's do that again. So Glenn does more damage, so that's good. And also actually he has a really nice. This is very unique R ability, but Glenn's water weapon only does is just for pure damage basically. While Sephiroth is going to do less damage, but it's going to reduce the water resist. So I didn't do the math, but I would say they are, I think, yeah, I would say they are comparable, actually. It's just 620. I think Sephiroth might actually do more damage. If we're only talking one character, we don't factor in our other party members. They could bring buffs and debuffs. I think Sephiroth might actually do more with the water resist down at high. So that's saying something because this is a limited weapon, right? This is and Sephiroth is just a irregular weapon. You can wishlist it. Let's compare it to Maritime. Maritime does 620, Sephiroth does 620, but Sephiroth reduces water resist, Maritime doesn't. So Sephiroth is just strictly better version of Maritime Sword. It's going to do the same damage, but it's also going to reduce water resist. So okay, that's very good. And then the last one was Lucia's Serpent Eater. So Serpent Eater does 660, Sephiroth does 620, but again, Sephiroth reduces water resist, so Sephiroth is better as well. Um, and that's also, we didn't even talk about pairing Sephiroth's new weapon with his Arcanum, right? With his Arcanum, well, for Glenn also has a water Arcanum, so they're tied there, Glenn and Sephiroth. Um, Cloud Cloud does not have an Arcanum. He has a Water Mastery costume. So if you have that, you would use that with Maritime, but that's still weaker than Arcanum. And Lucia does not have anything that would help her Serpent Eater. I mean, she has like boost attack costumes, I think, but nothing to boost water damage. So far, Sephiroth's setup is looking very strong. Um, let me go back. Let's go back and talk about Sephiroth. So far, I said this costume is not great, but actually, the weapon kind of makes it great. I mean, together, the pairing of the weapon and the costume kind of make this very strong, actually. I would say it's the best solo water setup. I mean, what I mean by that is if you only have one character in your party, I know you have three characters, but if you only have one character in your party, I would say Sephiroth is the best for water damage. Um, Sorry, water physical. So I actually skipped one person. It's Tifa. I don't have her, but Tifa also has a water Arcanum. And I guess I don't have. Oh yeah, right, I do. I have a three. I have a three-star bunny gloves. But Tifa also has a water Arcanum with bunny gloves. I didn't talk about her yet because actually she's different because she does magic damage. So physical and magic, um, they're quite different, but I mean they are comparable sometimes. Um, but I would say they're different. So I would say I usually don't like to compare magic and physical, but if you're a budget player, actually, you can't really afford. You might not be able to afford having a water physical and a water magic setup. So, um, if you do have Tifa, I wouldn't compare them directly, but I would say, well, I'm coming to my next point actually. The next point about this banner is for most free-to-play players, they don't need more than one setup for each. Well, it really depends what kind of player you are. So, um, a personal goal of mine is to have one setup for every element. Sorry, no, two setups for every element. One magic and one physical. So, I would like to have a water physical setup, and I would also like to have a water magic setup. So I didn't talk about Tifa because I would say she's not comparable. Like if you have a water Tifa, you still might want water Sephiroth because Sephiroth's physical. Um, but as a free-to-play player, I would say you don't need two physical. So the three characters I talked about earlier, um, the three characters is just Glenn, Cloud, and Lucia. If you have one of these three built up, the water setups, if you have Glenn's Water, Arcanum, and Stream Slasher, uh, I would say OB1 or better, then you don't need Sephiroth's new stuff. If you have Cloud and he actually has two costumes that can work with Maritime. He has his I don't know what it's called, but he has a Water Mastery costume, and he also has it's you can currently get it on the crossover banner. His what is it called? his Glavinus armor, which gives physical ability mastery. That can also work with his maritime sword. So I would say if you have Cloud's maritime built up, then you also don't need Sephiroth. And then the last one is Lucia, but I would say Lucia's weapon is the worst one. That's Serpent Eater, because she doesn't have any costumes that really buff this up, and also her Serpent Eater is boost HP. Well, all the other three, they all have boost attack. So hers is, even though the potency is higher than Sephiroth's, is actually the weakest one in terms of damage. So um, it's the worst one, but I would say if you have it at OB6 or better, if you have her Serpent Eater at OB6 or better, then you don't really need Sephiroth's new gear. Okay, but then with that being said, if you don't have any of those three, right? So if you don't have, hold on. If you don't have Glenn's water setup, if you don't have Cloud's maritime setup, and if you don't have Lucia's Serpent Eater setup, then I think you should pull for the costume. You should pull until the 12th stamp, right? Get his costume here. You can get his weapon here too. And yeah, that would be good for your account. And if same is, remember I said if you have Water Tifa, I think you still might want to pull him if you have Water Tifa, because Tifa does magic damage and Sephiroth does physical damage. And actually, so now I'm going to talk about more veteran players, or talking about whales. They will probably pull on this because just because you have Glenn set up or you have a strong Cloud doesn't mean you can't also use Sephiroth, because actually you can use both of them in the same party. You can you can use, usually a team will have like one healer, one DPS, so you'll have a healer, and then maybe you have Cloud water damage, and then you also have someone to buff or debuff, which is you can use Sephiroth to buff and debuff, right? Because he's reducing water resist, so that your main DPS, like maybe you have a Cloud with maritime, can do more damage because they'll have less water resist. And at the same time, he can also get another in Sephiroth's offhand. He can I forgot what I talked about it. Oh, maybe like physical defense down or something. Maybe he can use Radiant Edge, so reduce physical defense and then also reduce water resist. You can do something like that. But I think that's more for whale accounts. Like most people, lower free-to-play players, newer players, they don't need more than one. But veteran players, they can definitely use Sephiroth to boost up their water damage even higher, even higher. Oh, and okay, yeah. Let's move, because I talked about using him as a main DPS. So as a main DPS, only if you don't have Cloud, Lucia, Glenn. As a support, usually only veterans need support, but but if you want, or maybe you really like Sephiroth, like you can. He's not a bad pull. He's not a bad pull, as a support. So the main reason you would pull him, like I said, is his his weapon does water resist, decreases water resist, right? So let's look at other weapons that decrease water resist. So Sephiroth is not the only one that can do this. Let me find who else can do this. It is the oldest one, I think, is Zack, and Zack has his Black Whiskers, which does similar things to Sephiroth. So his Black Whiskers. Let's look at OB6 just for sakes. I mean, the potency changes depending, but yeah. Black Whiskers reduces physical defense mid, always mid, and it also reduces water resist mid, or if you get to OB10, it can go to high. So not the same, but you know, similar. It's reducing water resist. It's also reducing physical defense. The potencies are not high. Only water resist goes to high at OB10, but are helping increase water damage and physical damage. So this is a good option if you already have this, and then you don't really need another. So you don't need Sephiroth to also support you, right? So really, you only need one water DPS, and then if you, as a luxury, you can also have one water support. And this banner is good because Sephiroth can actually do both. Like he's good. He's he's good at as being the sole water DPS, but also he's good at supporting another character of yours to do water DPS. So so I said if you have Zac, then you don't really need Sephiroth to do the supporting. Um, who else? I believe Kate Sith has one. Kate Sith, is it this one? No, this one. Yeah, Kate Sith's green megaphone. Does water damage. You don't really care about that. But when you have over 50% HP, decreases water resist by high. So this is a worse version of Sephiroth's weapon because it does less damage, but it does the same water resist down. So not that much worse if we're just talking from a debuff perspective. And if you just want the debuffs, then actually I would say K is a better debuffer. I mean, his weapon is worse, but he has other options. Like mainly this one. He has Marching Horn, so you can boost physical attack. So you can use Kate Sith, Marching Horn, and Green Megaphone, to help your. Let's say I'm just using Cloud as an example again. So you can reduce the water resist of the enemy, and then you can also boost Cloud's physical attack with Marching Horn, or what else? That's the main one, but he has other things like, Battle Trumpet, reduce magic attack. I mean, Sephiroth has that too, so not really worth mentioning. But what's worth mentioning is Kate Sith's limit breaks are much better than Sephiroth's limit breaks for supporting. So let's look. He has two that are, really good supports. He has Toy Box, which reduces it, and it charges really fast, 800 charge speed, reduces physical defense and reduces magic defense. Or, if you don't need that, you can also go with Moogle Dance, which increases physical attack and also increases magic attack. And then again, it's also only 800 charge speed. So Kate Sith is a much better support than Sephiroth, I would say. Yeah, okay, let's go back. So we had Zac, Kate Sith, and I think there's one more. Red, yeah. One more that can reduce water resist. It's Red. Where is Red? Here. It's one of his newer weapons, so you might not have it. But Ivy Collar right here. It's gotta be 6. Ivy Collar is oh no, that's Ice. Sorry. Which one is it? This one? Oh, then it's his latest weapon. Sorry, Silver Collar. Silver Collar. That'll be 6. Is when Red has 50% HP or more, water resist decreased to high. So same thing. They all other than Zac. Zac needs OB10. Other than Zac, all the other weapons bring water resist down to high. That's all this does, but Silver Collar is actually really good because it does other things like you see here Diamond Sigil. This is a Diamond Sigil weapon, so some enemies in the game, some tough bosses sometimes have Diamond Sigil that you want to break, so you can use Silver Collar. You can reduce their water resist, and at the same time you can destroy the Diamond Sigils. And other than that, Silver Collar has cure-all materia slot, so you can use Red as he would be reducing water resist, maybe destroying diamond sigils, and you can also use him as your healer. So you can also use him as your healer. You don't need, or maybe an off healer if you need a lot of healing. And it also has good R abilities for healing. It has boost heal, and also for debuffing, it has the buff debuff extension. And red is one more thing here, and it's only 3 ATB. This one's only 3 ATB. And I believe all the other ones cost 4 ATB. All the other water resist down weapons are 4 ATB, but red's is 3. So this one's quite strong. As you can see, it does a lot of things. And then red as himself is a great support character. I can't tell which weapon is which, but he has a lot of collars that do a lot of debuffing, as well as his limit breaks, like Kate Sith, are very support based. So all three of them, I believe, yeah. So you have Sled Fang, which charges really fast, 800. Reduces physical attack and reduces magic attack of the enemy. That's pretty good. He has Lunatic High. It's a longer charge speed, but it's good utility. It increases physical defense and increases magic defense of your entire party. And then he has Stardust Ray, a moderate charge speed, 1200, and it reduces physical attack and magic attack up from the enemy. So very good support character here. So as a debuffer, Sephiroth is not that great. So yeah. Basically the conclusion is pull for him if you don't have a water physical DPS setup. I think that would be my conclusion. If you don't have Cloud, Glenn, Lucia, then pull for him. Otherwise, or if you don't have a water, or if you don't have a no, yeah, I think that's my conclusion. Yeah, if you don't have Glenn, Cloud, or Lucia's water physical setups built up, then I would pull for Sephiroth. Otherwise, I would not pull for Sephiroth. That would be my conclusion. But one last thing to talk about is there's actually, I mean, I only talked about Sephiroth, but there's actually another weapon on this banner, which is Glenn has a weapon. I didn't really talk about it because I didn't think it's worth mentioning. It's a really good weapon, but you only pull for costumes. On feature banners, you only pull for costumes, so I didn't think it was worth talking about, but here we are. Glenn's weapon is mainly just for Glenn, so that's why I didn't really want to talk about it. It reduces physical defense. Here, let's look at V6. Reduces physical defense mid, and increases Glenn's water damage. But it does non-elemental damage. So it does have a water materia slot, but mainly you really just want to pair this with Glenn's water weapon, which is a limited weapon, so not everyone has it. But I'm talking about this weapon, the Stream Slasher. If you have Stream Slasher, the featured weapon is the perfect weapon to pair with that. But yeah, I don't think it's worth mentioning for new accounts because you're only going to pull on this for Sephiroth if you want Sephiroth costume. Yeah, okay. And then last, am I going to pull? You can probably guess my answer from what I've shown you and what I've been saying, but I'm not going to pull because, like I said, I have this. I have Glenn's Stream Slasher at OB2 already, so I don't need Sephiroth to do water damage. Glenn is my main water physical damage dealer. I also have his Arcanum, so yeah, I don't need Sephiroth to do the damage for me, water damage. I would love to have Glenn's featured weapon, but I can wishlist that later. And then as for debuffing, you can see I have an OB3 green megaphone, so I can use Kate Sith if I need to debuff water, and I also have um, his marching horn, so that's the setup I talked about earlier, which I could boost Glenn's physical attack with marching horn, and then I would also use green megaphone to do that. Or other options are just like crystal megaphone, increase physical defense. Um, what else? Battle trumpet, decrease magic attack, and sometimes decrease physical attack. Um, Kit Sit's a pretty nice option. I also have, I think I have all of them. Yeah, I also have Zax, Black Whiskers, OB3. I can use that to decrease physical defense and water resist. I probably won't use Zac in the future because Glenn's new featured weapon, if I pull that, also decreases physical defense. So there's kind of an overlap there. So I probably won't use Zac once I pull Glenn's weapon. But for now, I think Zac's a good option to pair until I pull that weapon. And then I believe I have reds. I have one of reds. I'm not sure which one. Silver collar. Yeah, okay. So I just have an OB0 copy of silver collar, but you don't really need high OBs for this. This is more a utility weapon. Well, until you get OB6, it only does mid, but I believe it goes to high. Yeah, it goes to high, so that's fine. I can use red as my healer and water resist down, so I have all the options available to me that yeah, I don't need Sephiroth. Um, but yeah, that's it, guys. So let me know what you think if you're gonna pull for Sephiroth. Maybe you don't have any good water Arcanum setups, or maybe you really just want a water buff debuffer on your team. Then yeah, I don't think it's a bad pull. It's just depends on what you have really. So depends on what you have and depends how much if you're a free to play or not. Yeah. I do have a lot of crystals that I could pull this, but I'm I'm really good at saving. That's why I have so many crystals because I like to save. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later.